guest in studio for this edition is Tamara Kroneveld, social worker at the Student Support Services. And of course, I have president of the Gifted Foundation, Mr. Lenworth Wilson. It's great to have both of you in studio. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Topic for discussion in our edition of Inside Government is going to be dealing with the subject matter of modern drugs and the influence of music. A workshop coming up on June 27th, 2018 at the University of St. Martin at the famous Room 202.
That's correct.
Let's set some background here. Tamara, give me some details. Why this workshop?
Well, the Student Support Services, we believe in putting on workshops for parents to have them in the know, to have them knowledgeable about what's going on in the community, what's going on with their children. So the Student Support Services, we usually put on a workshop specifically for parents every quarter, once a quarter. And so last quarter we had one on stress resiliency and self-care, and this quarter we decided to have one on modern drugs and the influence of music. It's such a critical topic because drugs is out there and very prevalent in the community among the school children. We know that we recently had an incident or several incidents sometimes that are not so prevalent, are not so heard about in the community, but we do know that there was a child who ended up in the hospital just a few months ago, and last year for Carnival, there was talks about a child or a young lady who actually died as a result of drugs that she took during the Carnival. And so we thought that this was very relevant in terms of our youth, in terms of parents being in the know-how, because it's easy for them to conceal it. And music in modern days, it really talks about drugs. Sometimes it really talks about drugs nonchalantly sometimes, or just blatantly, where it's encouraging the kids to do drugs, use drugs such as Molly. And the regular parent doesn't know what Molly is. And so we want parents to be aware of the different things that's out there in the community, and hence how music is often used to influence the youths and the teens to actually use it. So we thought that this was very relevant, very relevant topic to talk about today.
Okay, when we're looking at the use of the different types of drugs, what have you been able to identify right now on the street that is being used? You made reference to Molly.
Yeah.
Well, are there on the others?
There are others, especially for the prescription medications like Xanax. They're using antidepressants and uppers to alter their moods depending on what they want, whether to mellow out or get a hype. So it's no longer to smoke a joint. Not to simplify that, but recognizing the danger of them experimenting with prescription medication and increasing even the dosage to get a higher sense of high or whatever outcome that they're looking for. So we have quite a prevalence with Xanax. The Percocets are one of the mainstays, and they're promoted through the music as well. So you will find those, and then the painkillers from Vicodin, the cough syrups, codeine. It varies. As long as it can provide some kind of alteration or escape, then they're going for it. Yeah.
We're seeing this activity picking up. I mean, is there any statistics that we've had so far in regard to how long this has been going on? I don't think I've ever seen an actual news story developed to actually indicate. But can we get a timeline as to when we started to see this type of activity start to pick up? Has it been just recent, or has it been going on for quite some time?
Well, I think probably Linworth would be better able to answer the question. But as far as I know, drugs have always been in the community. Yeah. And prescription drugs is becoming more and more prevalent among the youth today, especially where the cough medicine is concerned. And it's not just here on St. Martin, and not just here on this side of the world, but I also recently saw a video on YouTube where, especially in Africa, a lot of the youth over there, they're using cough syrup, and they're actually dying from it just to give them some sort of high. But what's usually promoted in music, I mean, I mentioned Molly earlier, but then they're using the cough syrup to actually make the lean that is more popular today, known as lean today. But with the lean, they make stuff that you can find around your home that parents are not necessarily aware of. And Lil Wayne often sing about the lean and what's in my cup, and nobody can see what's in my cup. And so some music videos of the youth that we have here on the island today, they actually have lean, or they would show it in their videos. I mean, probably persons like you and I don't necessarily watch at the local musicians on YouTube. They are out there, and they do promote the lean and those types of drinks in their cups, especially the red cups that you can't see what's inside of the cup.
Landworth, and our last time we got an opportunity to speak with you here inside government, you did mention the influence of music.
Yes.
Let's get into that in a little bit more in depth. I see Lil Wayne's name popping up. But
Yeah,
I'm sure
and the youngsters probably listen and laugh at Lil Wayne now, because Lil Wayne is probably going to be considered our generation, unfortunately.
Right.
He's still somewhat relevant, but with the rise of trap music, you have these artists. You have to keep up with them. It's from Ludfo, 6ix9ine, NBA Youngboy, and those names they will identify with now. And these are the trending artists, and every day another one pops out. But as to the question of drugs and music, it dates back as far as you can think, and some of the beloved artists that we grew up with, or even the older generation, there's been that marrying of drugs with music, whether you're talking about Bob Marley with his weed, or
Dr. Dre, The Chronic.
Yeah, it goes as far back as you can think. Musicians, some of the best music that we've had and still enjoy, what we call classics. Right. Even not just singers, the musician, the Jimi Hendrix, and I don't want to throw in just like balling names and put people out there and accuse them, but there are those who have attested to their use of drugs and its influence on their music that they produce. However, it's transitioned from just them enjoying a joint or some recreational drug to now where hardcore drugs are being promoted. But one of the biggest songs from 2016, I believe, was "I'm in Love with a Coco," a song promoting affinity or love for cocaine. You would not have heard that 25 years ago. That no matter which artist was using drugs, they would not blatantly, come out and profess love for it. Or you would see in some songs where they're talking about their not just the distribution, because distribution of drugs was somewhat of a badge. In rap, they sold drugs, they lived the street life. So it's somewhat of a badge of honor to say that they did that. But now more and more artists will come and tell you that they use drugs, they use cocaine, they use crack, whatever it is, all these prescription medication, they brag about their addictions, and we have young people who look up to them and see them as cool. And even if they didn't idolize the artists themselves, they would still idolize the culture and think that, okay, if the song, because the music is music, and music, I tell people all the time, it's that one thing that doesn't require permission to enter into the deeper element of you. You wake up in the morning and a song is stuck in your head, and it's from the day before that you heard it a couple of times, and it just stuck with you. You don't even know why you're singing it. You don't even know why you can't get it out your head. It's just stuck. But beyond being stuck in your head, it influences your mood, your temperament, the way you think. And so if every day you listen to something that is desensitizing you to the dangers of drugs, then eventually, it's not something so bad. You could try it.
What do you suggest at this particular point for trying to control it? At least the influence of music itself. I know radio plays its major part.
You start off at my starting point.
Right. Radio plays a major part.
Yeah.
However, same radio stations have a responsibility to play what is considered to be the radio edits of most of these songs. But still doesn't change.
But do they have a
content.
responsibility to play those?
They have a responsibility to be able to choose the right songs that they want to have their radio stations affiliated with.
Yes.
It should not be that a radio station is influenced by a U.S.-based Billboard list.
Yes.
That's one. Because, again, we're not in control of the U.S. Billboard hit list, but it gives radio stations in the so-called quote unquote third world countries,
Yeah.
the ability to be able to streamline their top 40 playlists.
Good.
Now, if I have a listening audience that is susceptible to YouTube, radio then is pretty much playing catch up to most subjects. So then kids, either which way, are receiving the content.
Yeah, and true. Most children get their music from social media or from YouTube. So it's they file share with friends. Their friend is playing the song, I've got it on his phone, or they don't even buy CDs and it's just downloading your music online.
Right.
So you would, by that, underestimate the influence of radio. What radio does is condone or make it okay. If this could play on public radio, then it's okay. Because if you're driving to school in the morning and mommy is playing the radio, she's tuned in listening to the news or updates or whatever, and then there's a musical interlude, come on, a break, and this is a song that you're in the car sitting, and if this radio DJ is playing it, it's okay, because this is a radio DJ that mommy listens to or daddy listens to, or this is a radio station that mommy listens to, or grandma is driving and she's listening to it, or the bus driver. And so radio makes it okay. And I was researching broadcast commissions and different regulatory bodies around the world, and I take note of their codes. For example, even the one for where I'm from Jamaica, and we have a broadcast commission there. And when daggering became popular, which is this violent sexual act in the dance hall where they're jumping off buildings and they're breaking tables, and it's really dangerous dancehall culture. And the Broadcast Commission put in place certain directives by law that no radio station can legally play any music that promotes any violent sexual activity. And so even though there are Jamaican artists that are producing it, they cannot play, not on radio. You would make the YouTube video and you go on because it's not regulated by Jamaican law. So, but at least in the context of the country itself, the young people know that this is not something okay. Now, when the artists take it on themselves now to put out the content on social media, online, now our young people are not stupid. They know that they're choosing, but their choice is not something that is sanctioned. It's not something that is okay. It's not just mommy overreacting, not just daddy overreacting. It's not just the stuck-up church people overreacting. It is something that is not okay for my culture, for my community, for the growth of my community. It's not okay. So when we play songs here, I remember some time ago I was on radio. I was working at a particular radio station and I had my morning program, and I just moved from one apartment to the next. And a couple months after I moved, our house got broken into. And I remember taking to the airwaves the Monday after, and I, sharing the experience. And I was saying, if I was the type of person who came on air and play songs that promoted the get rich or die trying mentality, I could not complain about these guys breaking into my house. I felt violated. It was a really horrible experience. But I took the perspective that if I was one of those radio DJs who promoted, hitting a lick on this trap house and doing this, then I couldn't come and complain. I couldn't feel any way because that's what I promote. And so then I called to, radio DJs and station managers and owners, take that responsibility to say what we condone. What is a culture that we can promote? What can we accept? And even promoters, concert promoters, because all of that dictates what's popular. If a radio DJ takes a song, like it had a song called This Is Why I'm Hot. A song is as dumb gets. It just says This Is Why I'm Hot over, but you play it and you pull it up and you say this is the biggest tune. You say this is the hot song, and you play it enough times and you pull it up enough times. Trust me, you make it a number one. Radio DJs have that power. If they take a song from Ed Sheeran and make it number one, it's number one. But if they're on the reverse, they say, you know what, Ed Sheeran, we're not playing you. Actually, we're going to play Designer and make his Panda number one, Panda will be number one. Radio DJs have that power. And young people, even those who go into YouTube, will go for Ed Sheeran over Panda if you push Ed Sheeran.
So the workshop, June 27th, 2018 at USM, tomorrow, we'll focus on this subject. And who do we have in our lineup to address and present?
Well, Linworth is the main facilitator
Okay.
for the evening. Like I said, this is a workshop that we put on once a quarter, and so for different workshops, we would have different facilitators actually come in to speak about the topic that they might be a little bit more knowledgeable. And say, for example, in the past, we've had persons come to speak about speech therapy. We've had people speak about nutrition, health. In the upcoming months, we also have a workshop possibly about social media and technology and how it influences the youth. And in September, we'll also be having another workshop where we'll be having conversations about special needs, children with special needs. So we always try to have a topic that's relevant to the parents that they can always reflect on in terms of their children, their education, and what's going on in the community.
Okay.
Tools.
And of course, at the end of the workshop, what is the goal that, at least from Student Support Services Division, what exactly is it you're trying to, the result?
Well, the end result that we're hoping for this particular workshop is that we want to empower parents by increasing their knowledge on various issues that affect their family, right? And so one of the outcomes we're hoping for a better informed family in regards to whatever topic might be that we will be projecting. So we would want them to know what's going on in the community. We would want them to know this could possibly be influencing or affecting your child when you're driving in the car and you're playing, I'm in love with the cocoa. And we know a lot of parents probably don't know what it actually means.
It's a catchy song.
Yeah,
But of
because it's
course-
a catchy song.
But then
Because
there's the education process
Yeah.
with regard to the workshop to
Yeah.
bring
Yeah.
them up to
So
the
that
learning curve.
that would
Exactly.
be the bottom line.
Okay.
Making
Exactly.
sure that they know, because I've known of this class parties in school where kids come out and one person brings a Sprite, one person brings the Jolly
Cough
Rancher,
syrup.
another bring the cough syrup, and your parents don't think twice. You're going to school with these things, and they go and they mix together. So they if parents are more aware of what the culture is out there, what they mean when they well, I guess now more people are up to date with like terms like a plug, and you're not actually talking about a socket in the wall, but you're talking about the dealer, somebody who could hook you up with the drugs or whatever it is that you're looking for. But just terms like those to decode what is being said in the music or what they're saying, what they're sharing with their friends, what they're talking about, and they're having the conversations. And you need to keep up. When your son show up with a bandana, you want to know what a bandana means. It's not just a rag. It means something. Your son might be in a gang. And so just decoding what's going on so you can, be on the beat if your child starts using drugs or is thinking about it or being influenced by friends who are already using drugs, and you want to be in the know.
Yeah.
So that's what those will do.
Yeah, and we know that back in at least in my day when I was growing up, I know that back in those days we really had some crazy parents, and so we know that some of our parents, especially my parents, they would be the ones to go through your things like what is this doing in my house? What is this?
I think
you-
our parents had some great instincts.
Yeah,
So right now, see if I connect with what Numworth is saying.
yeah,
There's an urban dictionary
Yeah.
for this modern age.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Back then, I think our parents had it down pat. They
Right.
just instinctively knew
Yeah.
Right.
something just didn't felt
something
right,
was off.
Yeah.
and something was off. So the
Right.
reaction then was different.
Yeah.
Do you think we've gotten so busy in this modern day and age that the 21st century parent, the instincts are just not there as keen as our
Well, the thing
grandparents?
is, like I was saying, I think like if a parent was to probably put up on some cough syrup in their child's room, or if they were to encounter some Jolly Ranchers or some Sprite, they would not necessarily
know,
think anything of it. Or if they were to see the child with a bandana, they would not necessarily think anything of it, but of course if they were to see you with a cigarette or something of that sort, of course they would think something of it because they recognize it for what it is. But those things that you could just find around the house, or you could go in your local supermarket or your pharmacy and purchase it, parents might not think twice to know what what the use of it is. So this workshop is actually helping parents to bring about some sort of awareness of what possibilities the kids could be using them for.
Yeah. And you do have parents who are less attentive. You do have parents, and it's not necessarily solely based on socioeconomic status. It's parents right across the spectrum who don't bother to search school bags before they go to school or to search a bag, because you have to, protect their privacy and make them feel, respected, so you don't go in their private spaces. But no, check the bags, and especially if you have reason to, if they give you a reason, or at least they know that you might be checking the bag. Kids you have parents who will see pills and don't question it. Now, again, with the lack of information, you could understand that as well, where they don't know that kids are abusing prescription medication. So they see some kids, and the last person they think is their child is going to be abusing prescription medication. Mm-hmm. But it starts from constantly wanting a paracetamol. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everything happened, they want a paracetamol. You pay attention to those things. Be attentive to just the subtle signs, and workshops like these can also, I guess, set off the spidey senses, so you know what to, be extra attentive to.
And going back to your questions about the parents' instinction, the thing is that some of the drugs that the kids are using these days is not necessarily the marijuana that everyone knew back in the day. They're concealing stuff a lot more now because parents are more aware of what's actually out there. So what they have is the Molly, which actually, for some Molly pills, actually look like candy. Mm-hmm. They would use the Spider-Man or the SpongeBob, and they actually have different names because different Molly pills could supposedly have different effects on the child or the individual that's taking it. So where we could have like a cigarette, the children now, they're actually concealing the Molly pills in their bras or in their bags, in their hats, in their pockets, wherever they could conceal it, and parents are not necessarily finding it as much as before, whereby they probably might put it in their drawer. You could still find
I'm glad
something
you
in your
just said
drawer.
that, because something key you mentioned there, just kind of just slip it in there when you said bra, because people tend to think boys are abusing drugs, not the girls. But girls are heavy drug users now. I mean, everything from smoking marijuana to the pills and all of that. And it as again, music and its influence. We know, like a popular artist, Nicki Minaj, Pills and Potions. And so people underestimated how having a level of celebrity and influence can even change, like almost overnight. Not overnight, but a quick change of our culture. Right. So we have a lot of young ladies also abusing substance now, and we see in the schools the acting out. I remember we would see videos of fights in the streets from within the St. Peter's Ebenezer South Ward School District. You'd see students fighting police, and there was no distinction between boys or girls. It's just erratic behavior across the board. Some schools do better to cover up what's going on the inside than others, but I could tell you that almost every school, including elementary schools here on this island, has a drug issue. At least one instance where a student either is found with drugs in school, and that whether that be marijuana or pills or some alcohol substance, it's happening in every school.
Tamara, collaboration with the police force in regarding to help dealing with this matter? Is there any type of conversation taking place at this point?
Actually, last year we had a workshop last November with the police force. Like I said, we usually try to collaborate with different entities within the community, with different stakeholders, correct, to put on different workshops to bring awareness for different subject matters. When we collaborated with the police, we collaborated with Mr. Felix. And he's a community police, and he was able to do a workshop. It was regarding like bullying and the different fights, and so that they see within the community. So that brought a lot of awareness.
And he also did one for the space cake, which became a big thing. They were baking marijuana cake and distributing it in school.
Mm-hmm. And what's a pity is sometimes we would put on these workshops, and sometimes the attendance would not necessarily be a room full of people. Even though we do this for the community, do this for the parents, everyone is actually welcome and invited to these workshops. And so sometimes if we put on the workshops and no one comes, then that information is missed, or just a handful of people actually get the knowledge or get the information. So we want to encourage everyone to come out to this workshop on June 27, once again, in order to be able to get the information and make a big change within the community. We know that we often blame the government, we blame the police, we blame everybody else except ourselves as parents. So we want the parents to come out, be empowered, be educated, and go back into your homes and have conversations with your children, see what they know, and make a change that way.
Giving you an advantage, because the parents, especially those I think over the age of 45 and so on, the usual WhatsApp bandits who will send out these forward messages of saying that this drugs is being distributed and so on. This is an opportunity to come and get accurate information. Because the things that are sent out on WhatsApp, it's well-meaning, but sometimes it is completely inaccurate and doesn't apply to us here in St. Martin. So this workshop, as Tamara said, is an opportunity that has not been fully taken advantage of. The workshops that are being done by Sssd. So resources there for parents. Do your part and do your best in making sure that you come out and get the information and participate in the discussion.
President of Gifted Foundation, Mr. Lenworth Wilson, and social worker at Student Support Services, Tamara Groeneveld, thank you so much for coming in and, of course, providing us with this information. I'm sure we can continue to have this conversation in another form, and we invite you to come back and, of course, give us greater detail and, of course, measure the success of the workshop.
Thank you for having us. And like I said, I do encourage everyone to come out on Thursday, 27th June, in order to listen to this workshop in full. We just gave a little brief synopsis of what we'll be talking about here today. And so we encourage one and all, come out on June 27th,
Yes,
next Wednesday at 7 p.m. by University of St. Martin, room 202.
Great. And of course, to our televiewers and radio listeners, thank you for tuning in and being a part of this special edition of Inside Government. If you missed our broadcast, be sure to log on to the official government website, stmartingov.org, for video on demand. And of course, tune in to St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9. On behalf of the team here at the Department of Communication, I'm Cedric Peterson. Thanks for tuning in.